Welcome back, guys. We are heading out of the barnyard down here, ready to go back and start knocking corn out. One nice thing, the corn's gotten dried down. We don't even have to run it through the grain dryer over there. Now it's actually gotten to the point where it's running about 14.5 to almost 15% moisture, which means we can put it straight in the bin. And so up north at it would have been my uncle's old place where he used to live at years ago. Got 4 grain bins. My cousin, she owns it now. And so we can just take the corn straight out of the field and put it straight into the bin. That makes it nice. Because we did get into some wetter corn, 18.5 to 19%, and that really slows things down. It don't take long, the combine can catch right up and have the trucks and the wet bin all filled full of wet corn, and then we're waiting on the dryer to get it run through. So I'll bring you back in when we're ready to pull in the field and start rolling. Coming down the field here, I don't know, some of you may remember that back in the spring, that ditch right there, in fact, it probably would have been on my one video where, I think it's where I came down here. Dad was already disking ground. I came down here at the 4955 in the other disc, and we changed the tire on the crumbler. And in that video, I remember showing that back there in that ditch that we just crossed over, there was an old refrigerator right there. Well, I don't know if it has to do with my video or what, but probably about a month or so after I posted that video, that old refrigerator that was there in the side ditch disappeared. So, hey, if that works to clean up the count, that works to clean up junk, fine with me. So, okay, get pulled in here. We actually came down last night and got the field all opened up. Today is Thursday. Well, I forget what day it is. Okay, yeah, Thursday. I knew what day it was. I forgot the date. Thursday, October 16th. So, get wheeled in here. The cart driver, he'll be showing up here around lunchtime or so, or when he gets ready. So I'll just probably pick south, dump, and probably have to drive back to the north and pick through, because I can't make a full round. So we'll get going here. All right, we're off and rolling here. I actually had to take 6 rows through right there because we had a bunch of point rows coming together, so I had to take and kind of straighten that back up before I jump back over on my 8 rows again. Gonna run over here. We left the grain cart down here overnight, but got to run over here to the tractor and put the key back into it. So I got the key, and in fact, I would be curious to know, for those of you out there that have this, but right about where that grain cart's sitting, in fact, there's actually a drainage ditch going down along through here on the south edge of the field here. But there where that cart's sitting at, in the 4840, we had burr cucumber coming up out of that ditch. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically, it looks almost like a domestic cucumber in your garden, but about 100 times worse. And what it will do is it'll grow up the corn stalk and then vine everywhere. And I've talked to my one chemical guy, and he says it's his understanding that that stuff can actually grow up to 1 foot a day. When once it grows up the corn stalk and then begins to vine out, it can grow up to a foot a day. And so I was actually keeping an eye on it throughout the summer, and I actually came down here with brush killer and sprayed it. And then I just walk up and down through this area, through the corn rows, and anything that I found, I'd actually just pull it out by hand. And last night when I was opening up the field, I walked down through here again because it's been right around where that little tree's at. And I found, I think, 2 or maybe 3 plants growing back up the stalks again. So I took those off and tossed them, made sure I pulled the root clear out of the ground. But yeah, if you have burr cucumber, I'd be curious to know, what do you use to control it and keep it under control? Like I say, spraying it with the crossbow there in the ditch, that killed that part. Everything that I could find in the ditch, I sprayed. Out here in the first 2 or 3 rows of the corn, I pulled it all out by hand, and that really helped keep it under control. But you all probably know very well, it's bound to start coming back again. So I'd be curious to know what you use. Okay, here we are walking up here on top of the ditch, trying to see if I can see it. Okay, right there's dead vines. That looks like it right there. Now, just imagine, well, you know what cucumber does in your garden, how it just vines everywhere? Just imagine that going across the top of the corn in the field, and everything, it just all growed together. Like I had one guy tell me that had it, he said it's pretty bad when you can pull into the edge. There we go. All right, keys in. Into the edge of the cornfield, or the corner of your cornfield. Kick your machine in gear, and the whole entire cornfield starts coming toward you because everything's all vined together. And so, like I say, I'd be curious to know what you guys use to help keep it under control. The chemical guy told me that 2 of the best things that he knows, one's Roundup and or Crossbow. So, well, we'll get back to rolling here. figure, well, I'll jump in here on the drone footage and chat with y'all a little bit. Y'all seem to like when I do the voiceover. Kind of like, well, I guess it'd be Farmhand Mike Les and or Jason with the YouTube channel Big Tractor Power. I know they do a lot of voiceover on their drone footage. But anyway, thought I'd jump in here on this video to share a few details about our equipment. And so, I think I've told you all before, this combine is a 2002 a Class 7 machine. I've actually had our dealership, Plevna Implement, out of Kokomo, Indiana. When they've run my the serial number for me, I found out that it's actually one of the last R72s built toward the end of 2002, because in 2003 Gleaner came out with the R75, which is still a Class 7 machine. And the main difference between the 2 and the 5 series was the cab. The cab was completely revamped on the R75. And but yeah, like I say, this here is actually number 28 from the last R72 built. And we bought the thing at the beginning of 2018 from a place out in northern Iowa. And then brought it back. I found it online, then got trucked back here to Indiana. And then also the corn head is another thing that you don't see too often. It's actually an 8-row wide corn head. We actually run 38-inch row spacings, and I found this corn head online. In fact, it's actually on one of my Gleaner Facebook groups. A farmer over in northwestern Illinois, up southwest of Rockford, had posted it for sale, and so made a deal. And one morning, my dad and I bounced out and left here long about 6 o'clock in the morning, headed over with a big flatbed trailer, loaded it up, and brought it home. And it's been really handy. I will say, though, picking corn with an 8-row head and running a 12-row planter can be kind of tricky because of the off-row. Sometimes you're on an even 8 rows, then you'll pick up the next 4 and 4 from the next planter pass, and so your off-row is going right down the middle of the head. And so going through the field, it's not that big a deal, but you get going like around a tile inlet, that kind of stuff, that off-row can either widen out or it can pinch down together, so you just got to kind of work with it. But besides that, it's not too bad. And so generally a typical 8-row corn head, an 8-row 30, is going to be 20 feet wide, and this one here is actually 25 feet wide. And so, but yeah, like I say, it's worked great for us, and so we like it. And then the tractor here is, of course, our John Deere 4840. We've got 2 of them. This here's the one that we got right at the end of 2020. And a friend of my dad's had it, and he had retired, and it was just sitting in his barn. I think it had sat in his barn for probably 2.5 years not doing anything. And so made a deal with him and bought it. And it has been really handy. And because before that, we would always run our other 40 on the cart. Well, that just put a lot of wear and tear on it. And so now we can run this 4840 on the cart. And this one here is actually a late year 1978. The John Deere 40 series, if I remember right, started at the beginning of 1978 and ran through 1982. Our other 4840 that we pull the corn planter with is actually in 1982, and so we got 78 and 82. So at the beginning and at the end of the 40 series. And actually, if it works out this coming winter, just like I did on our other 4840 that we've had since 2007, this one here I also want to give it an overhaul. Pull the head off, have it gone through, new valves, pull the injectors, have them all checked, put new rod bearings, pistons, all that kind of good stuff into it, sleeves, the works. And then this grain cart here is a Kilbro 1600, and so it's actually an 800 bushel cart, because Kilbro, they do their sizing by the model number. So this here's a model number 1600, and so you take their model number, and half of the model number is the bushel capacity, and so it's an 800 bushel cart. And we've had the thing, I'm trying to remember now, I think we got it in 2013, seems like. And it's actually worked good for us. And so, eventually we'd like to get another one, just to update. But, yeah, like I say, it's been a good cart for us and that kind of stuff, so it still works good. The reason why we got to go with the floor auger or floor cart auger setup like what this here has, where you got your floor augers running forward to the front and then your auger going straight up. The big tall carts, that is the one bad thing with the Gleaner Combine unload auger. Now the newer ones, in fact, even there on the R72, the unload auger is a lot higher. The older Gleaners, like what our a Gleaner R52 has that we use in soybeans, that one's got a much lower auger, and so you got to have something low in order to get over it. And so that is the one drawback with, like I said, the older Gleaner machines. The newer ones, especially you start coming on up into the S and even now the new T series, the auger goes a lot higher in the air. In fact, it's even a lot higher than the R72 is. So, okay, there's Dad pulling in with the tandem, and that thing right there is a 1986 International S1900. It's got the DT466 International engine in the thing. And that's actually a pulling machine, let me tell you. It's got a 5-speed Allison automatic transmission, so you just drop the thing in and go. And when you're in the field, you drop the thing into first gear when you're loaded. And, I mean, that thing, it'll take off and go. I mean, you can be soft sand before and loaded. You drop the thing in first gear, step down, and it'll take off. No hesitation. And the neighbor that we got the thing off of, he bought it from a place out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And originally it had been a craft food truck, and most likely probably with a box bed on the thing. And we had a local mechanic do some work on it for us, and he said the back axles under the thing are actually an old GM axle. And so, kind of interesting on that deal. My guess is the truck was probably originally a single axle, and then when the place in Fort Wayne got it, they customized it and put the tandem underneath it, and they actually the frame on the thing is actually doubled. It's actually got a doubled up frame. It's a big heavy truck. Empty weight is 20,000, but it'll carry right at about 700 bushel of corn if you got good test weight. And so, okay, there goes Dad heading out. He just jumped out of the tandem, hopped in the semi, and that right there is our 2003 Freightliner with the C12 cat motor in the thing. So it's been a good little truck for us. The thing I like about those day cabs is they're short and maneuverable. So the 40-foot trailer, you can get into a tight spot. I see some guys, they got those great big sleeper trucks, and making the turns on our county roads, they're always hanging off in the side ditch just to make the turn. But for ourselves and myself personally, I like the day cab because they're short, maneuverable, and you can get into tight areas with them. And so, yeah, that's just a little information about the equipment there. So just thought I'd share that there as you're watching the drone video. Alright, now the cart's just pulled back up there, and he's going to unload it in the tandem. And that'll have it. guys. Well, hope you enjoyed the drone video. Coming down here on the last pass here on this field. That over there is the neighbor. And so, get this here wrapped up, and then I have another 40 acres knocked out. So I think I'm going to call this and end the video. So take care. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time.